There are some things you weren't meant to find. Jake Mercer didn't believe in ghosts, cursed objects, or the kind of horror stories that kept kids awake at night. But that was before the tape. Before the whispers. Before the face in the mirror that shouldn't have been there. It started with a single, unmarked VHS cassette, black, blank, and wrong in a way Jake couldn't explain. The moment he slid it into the VCR, the static hissed like a living thing, and the child's voice slithered out from the television. "Can you see me?" By then, it was already too late. Because the lost tape wasn't just a recording. It was an invitation. And whatever was on the other side? It had been waiting for him. It was a Saturday morning when Jake Mercer stumbled upon the old box of VHS tapes. He hadn't meant to go digging through the clutter at Mrs. Holloway's garage sale, but something about the faded cardboard box caught his eye. It was tucked beneath a stack of yellowed newspapers, its edges worn and dusty. "How much for these?" Jake asked, pulling out a handful of tapes. Most were blank, their labels peeling. But one stood out, a plain black cassette with no label at all. Mrs. Holloway, an elderly woman with watery blue eyes, frowned. "Oh, those old things? Take 'em for $5. My husband used to record everything, birthdays, holidays, though I don't remember that black one." Jake handed her the money and left, the tapes rattling in his backpack. That night, Jake sat in his dimly lit bedroom, the old VCR humming as he slid the black tape inside. His best friend, Liam, lounged on the bed, scrolling through his phone. "Dude, this better not be some boring home movie," Liam muttered. The TV screen flickered to life, but instead of a clear image, there was only static. A low, rhythmic buzzing filled the room, like a heartbeat. Then, a voice. "Hello?" A child's whisper, barely audible. Jake's fingers froze on the remote. The static pulsed, distorting the voice. "Can you see me?" The screen flashed a blurry figure standing in a dark room. A child, pale and hollow-eyed, staring directly into the camera. Liam sat up. "What the hell is this?" Before Jake could answer, the image cut to a hallway, long, narrow, the walls covered in peeling wallpaper. The camera wobbled, as if someone was walking. Then, a door at the end creaked open. A shadow moved inside. The screen went black. Jake couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the child's face, those sunken, lifeless eyes. He tossed in bed, the silence of his room pressing down on him. Then, a sound. A soft tap 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 from his closet. His breath hitched. Slowly, he turned his head. The closet door was slightly open. He hadn't left it that way. Swallowing hard, Jake forced himself to stand. His legs shook as he approached, fingers curling around the doorknob. 1, 2, 3. He yanked it open. Nothing. Just clothes and old shoes. He exhaled until he saw it. The mirror on the back of the door. Reflected behind him, standing at the foot of his bed, was the child from the tape. Jake spun around. The room was empty. The next morning, Jake and Liam pored over the tape again, pausing on every frame. "There's something written here," Liam said, pointing to a corner of the screen. Jake squinted. Faint letters, scratched into the film. 237 Willow Lane. A quick search revealed an abandoned house on the edge of town. "We should check it out," Liam said. Jake hesitated. Something's not right about this. But curiosity won. The house was a rotting husk, its windows shattered, the porch sagging. The air smelled of mildew and something worse, something rotten. Inside, the wallpaper was the same as in the tape. "This is it," Jake whispered. They moved carefully, floorboards groaning beneath them. The further they went, the colder it got. Then, they found the basement door. A deep, Rhythmic thumping echoed from below. Thump, thump, thump. Like a heartbeat. Liam reached for the handle. Jake grabbed his wrist. Don't. But it was too late. The door flew open. A small, pale hand reached out from the darkness and yanked Liam inside. Jake ran. He didn't stop until he was home, gasping, his hands shaking as he pulled the tape from the VCR. But when he tried to break it, the tape wouldn't snap. The static on the TV returned. And then, a new image appeared: Liam, screaming, his face pressed against an unseen force. The child's voice whispered, "Now you're part of the tape too." Jake turned and saw the child standing behind him, reaching out. A week later, another garage sale. A new buyer. A new victim. And the lost tape, waiting to be played again. The old, dusty cassette player sat silently on the shelf, its once sleek design now faded and worn. The tapes beside it were neatly stacked, their labels yellowed with age. But one tape stood out. A plain, black cassette with no label, no markings, no indication of what secrets it held. It was as if it had been waiting patiently for someone to find it, to play it, and to unleash the terror that lay within. The abandoned house had been a local legend for years. Rumors swirled that it was cursed, that anyone who entered would never return. But I was always drawn to the unknown, the unexplained. As a historian, I had spent years researching the house and its former occupants. Today, I had finally gathered the courage to explore it. As I stepped inside, the creaking floorboards beneath my feet echoed through the empty halls. I shone my flashlight into the darkness, illuminating cobwebs and dust-covered furniture. The air was thick with the scent of decay. I made my way to the attic, where I knew the previous owner had stored a collection of old electronics. Amidst the stacks of old computers and VHS players, the cassette player caught my eye. And beside it, the mysterious tape. I carefully inserted the tape into the player and pressed play. At first, there was only static. Then, a low hum filled the air, followed by a faint whispering. The words were indistinguishable, but the tone sent shivers down my spine. Suddenly, the whispering stopped, and a voice spoke clearly, "Welcome home." I spun around, but I was alone. The voice seemed to come from all directions, echoing off the walls. The recording continued, with the voice telling a story of loss, of grief, and of madness. It was a haunting tale, one that seemed to be drawing me in, making me a part of the narrative. And then, the voice stopped. The tape hissed, and the static returned. I ejected the tape, feeling a sense of unease. What had I just listened to? Who was the voice, and what did it want? I couldn't shake the feeling that the tape had awakened something within me. I became obsessed with uncovering the truth behind the recording. Who had made it, and why? What was the story behind the voice? I spent hours researching, scouring the internet for any mention of similar tapes or recordings. And then, I found a forum post from someone who claimed to have heard the same voice on a different tape. They described the same feeling of unease, the same sense of being drawn into the narrative. I realized I wasn't alone. There were others out there who had heard the tape, who had been affected by its power. And I became determined to find them, to learn more about the tape and its secrets. As I dug deeper, I began to experience strange occurrences. Doors would slam shut on their own, and I'd hear whispers in the night. The voice from the tape seemed to be following me, echoing in my mind. I started to question my own sanity. Was I hearing things, or was something really out there? The more I listened to the tape, the more I felt myself slipping into madness. And then, I received a mysterious package with no return address. Inside, I found another tape, identical to the first. A note was attached, with a single message: "Play me." I hesitated, but my curiosity got the better of me. I inserted the tape into the player and pressed play. The static returned, followed by the voice. This time, the message was different. "You should not have listened," it said. "You should not have looked for the truth." The voice grew louder, more menacing. "You will never be able to escape the darkness that you've unleashed." As the voice spoke, the room around me began to distort, as if reality itself was warping. I felt a presence closing in, suffocating me. And then, the tape snapped, the machine whirring wildly as it self-destructed. I was left standing in the darkness, the voice still echoing in my mind. I never found the answers I was looking for. Instead, I was consumed by the darkness that the tape had unleashed. Some say I'm still trapped in that abandoned house, listening to the tapes, searching for the truth. Others claim to have seen me, wandering the streets, muttering to myself.